Titles, go.
Ancient gaming.
The Gobble Wobble.
Jiggery pokery.
You can say it.
The roads are safe.
I can't take Corbs seriously. Edison the thief.
From Aliens.
Daddy's home.
Floatjacking.
You.
Try that again.
Kicker you.
All right.
I'm still going bald.
Fuck yeah, you are.
Fuck me. But I got tape until it's been stolen. Oh, it's been stolen too. Fuck this show.
All right, let's do this.
Warning. What you are about to hear contains explicit language, adult themes, and potentially disturbing content. The views and opinions expressed are those of the hosts and do not reflect the opinions of anyone else, anywhere, ever, in the history of the world. This podcast is intended for an immature audience and should not be listened to by anyone, anywhere, ever, in the history of the world. You know, fuck it. You've been warned.
Hello, welcome to this week's edition of Geek Pod. I'm your host, Paul.
I'm Hugh.
I'm Kev.
I'm going bald. I'm Jack.
No. Guys, what's got you geeked?
I got a question for everyone.
Okay.
Raise your hands if you've had a colonoscopy.
I'm lucky. No.
No, it's only Kev. Okay. I
am over 50.
I finally had a colonoscopy / endoscopy yesterday.
And you loved it.
No, will you just hold on a second, all right? I have a story to tell. So one minute I'm in the room and this guy says this will help you relax, and I'm just out. The next thing I know, it's an hour later. I'm in a different room. Said guy is gone, and I'm half naked under a blanket and confused, like all the girls Kevin dated in college. But you know,
It's like,
honestly, guys,
I didn't go to college.
if you've never had a colonoscopy, it isn't anything to be scared of. The worst part of it was the fact that they had to try 4 times to get an IV in me. So
Ooh.
both of my hands are all fucked up now. But literally, I'm laying there. They have the thing in my mouth because they're also doing the endoscopy.
Yeah, they put a thing in your mouth.
And like, all right, you know, this is going to start making you drowsy. I'm laying there. I'm like, oh, yeah, I think I hear it happening. And then boom, out. I wake up in the recovery room, and honestly, like, I thought at least my throat would hurt. I don't even feel like anything happened.
They
Okay.
use a lube. It's fine.
But that's not the point, Kevin. The point is a lot of people are freaked out about getting this done and they put it off. I mean, literally, if I didn't know that they'd shoved a fiber optic camera up my ass yesterday, I wouldn't have any idea. I have no idea at all. I don't feel it. The only really bad part was they apparently had to they blow air up there or something, I guess, to inflate intestines, and they had to take out 9 polyps. So they had to use a lot. I guess that's more than usual, and they had to use a lot of air. So when I woke up, they're like, "Oh, you might feel kind of gassy." It felt like my stomach was going to explode, and I had to like run to the bathroom, and I just had to just let rip for like 10 minutes, the biggest farts ever. I'm sure that they could hear it at the desk, but I'm just like, I don't care, you know. I mean, they've just seen my ass anyway. It doesn't matter. But yeah, it's not anything to be freaked out about. So I don't know if you other gentlemen who have not had one, you need to get it done because you know, cancer in those areas, they've dropped the guidance from 50 years old to 45 because they're starting to see a lot more cancer in guys in their mid 40s. It's not a big deal. I mean, the prep kind of sucks, I guess. It wasn't even all the drinking the stuff and the like shitting my guts out. The worst part was the fact that I could have nothing but liquids, you know, that whole last day. That really sucked. But the process is simple. The other thing I'm geeked about, and I really would have talked about more, was the very first of the 60th anniversary Doctor Who specials premiered this past weekend. But then there's a whole trans controversy about it, and I probably just shouldn't get into it. So all I'll say is that the episode was fucking awesome, and it really felt like Doctor Who took a step back to 2010 when it was running on all cylinders. It really felt like the gang was back together again. And I hope so far as I've read, the ratings seem to reflect that. There's another special this Saturday and a third one next Saturday. And then there's a Christmas special with the new Doctor who hasn't officially premiered yet. So a lot of Doctor Who this holiday season, and I couldn't be happier.
Outstanding.
That's cool. All right. So we haven't recorded in a while. So literally, I'm always like, I want to say this, but we're not recording this week. So I want to keep pushing it off. So what's got me geeked? I just sent you guys all a picture. And Paul, if you do me a favor and post that for what's got me geeked. So this is pretty cool.
Wait a minute. Whoa. How did you get pictures of his colonoscopy?
I know, it's the gas man. I got Gassy in room 1A. I got the colonoscopy pictures. Got all like that Spike Lee angle. I got right in there.
You did.
It wasn't pretty at all. That is one dirty camera.
Did you expect it to be?
And now we know why.
But
And now we know why his
could've-
throat doesn't hurt.
You could have shaved a little, Hugh. It was a little hairy in there too, man. So what's got me geeked was I've always wanted to get these Philadelphia Eagles Mano wines. Mano's the creator. They create wine for sports teams, and I got the Super Bowl 52 Philadelphia Eagles bottle of wine and the old school bottle of wine as well. For these two bottles of wine, it was $135. I was like, fuck. But I've already had one bottle. So one bottle's already gone, but they're actually, if you like wine, I like wine. It's like a dark red wine. It's actually very good, but it's pretty neat because they're handcrafted. So it says on the back when they won the Super Bowl, it talks about their old school logo, and I think they look really cool in my bar area, which I really like. I wanted to get these when they first won the Super Bowl, but these bottles of wine were like $80-$90 and still a lot of money, but it was like around $60 for a bottle of wine, and I think they look really cool in my bar setup, and it's just something little simple. Corbs knows the Eagles are 10-1, which is I'm very happy with this season so far. Still want another Super Bowl, but these bottles of wine are really cool to have. And like I said, one bottle's gone, and you never know. Maybe if I go missing the podcast, I might drink another bottle tonight. So
we'll just see Jack stumble across the frame later with a bottle in his hand.
So-
what was it?
Put it in a brown paper bag and drink it on the show.
So
Exactly.
so far, two people have gotten it the ass. Okay, who's next?
Well played. No, that's what's got me geeked, though, those bottles of wine, and I've always wanted to get them, and I'm happy to have them.
You do realize they're only worth that unless they're opened, right?
I don't care. I'm very happy to have them, though, but they're limited edition too. But I still, actually, Kev, I still have the Frosted Flakes and the Pringles from Celebration not opened.
Me too.
You still have those too?
I happen to know where the ones that I got are.
Me too.
Here somewhere.
Not open with him either.
They will never get opened, I'm sure.
Nope. Those are special.
All right, I'm done now.
Corbs.
Oh, yeah, I guess I'll go. Mine is I got me geeked is from today. So, well, kind of a bit of both. I had another eye doctor appointment, so I got a shot in my eye today. That was fun. And they dilated my eyes, so I took the day off only because dilating, I couldn't really see shit, couldn't drive. So sitting in front of a computer all day is not going to be the most fun. So I took the day off. So I decided to make an appointment for my son to take his learner's permit test. So I did that today at 3:20. Took him over to the DMV to take his learner's permit, and he failed the first test. And I did not know this, that you can take it right after.
The written?
No, it's on a computer now.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, Kev, when you and I and Paul and everybody
Yeah.
that written one, you had to wait like 6 weeks before you could take it again or whatever. They literally could. He took it. He failed he missed one question.
Ugh.
So he needed to have 14 correct out of 20. He got 13 correct out of 20. And then so we waited. The guy called. They called us back in. They're like, hey, you missed by one question. He goes, do you want to take it again? And I looked at the guy. I was like, wait a minute. He could take it again right now. He's like, yeah, we got an hour. He could take it 3 more times if he fails it. It doesn't really matter. I was like, well, shit. Go ahead, take it again. And then so we took it again, and he passed it. So
Awesome.
my son got his learner's permit today. So
Wonderful.
stay off the sidewalks.
Yeah.
So,
Roads are safe. You'll be
the
fine.
roads are safe. Hair is coming.
Okay. So far, 2 people got it in the ass, 1 person got it in the face, right in the eye. So, okay, who's next?
You.
Okay, I did not get it in the ass or in the face yet.
Sure. Yeah. There you go.
But Snowdio is coming up. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So that's cool. Season opener for the winter fun time. And we're getting hammered up here. We are getting a lot of snow. I got a lot of snow in my front yard. A lot of it will be gone before the next week's over. Or even this week's over, actually.
Yeah,
But it's nice
like
to see.
45 or something like that.
Yeah, up in High Market area, Constableville, up the other side of Tug Hill, they got 40 plus inches, and
Wow.
a couple people are out with sleds, and they show them buried in snowbanks, and they had a real good time. Yeah, so that's coming up. For people that don't know what Snowdio is, it's a good time up in Old Forge. All the different snowmobile dealerships and the Adirondack Association get together and put on a little event, show off the new sleds, talk about new gear, new stuff, give away some stuff, and just generally have a happy time up in Old Forge. And if there's enough snow, then we take our sleds and we actually ride them. Used to be that we rode them every year, but the last few years has been kind of sketchy. So either way, we'll be in Old Forge for Snowdio and having a good time. Oh, there's also a sled drag. One of the big things about Snowdio was always pitting all the new sleds against each other. So brand new box stock sleds. So they take them out of the crate and they put them on a drag strip, and they run them one at a time. They don't run them against each other. They run them one at a time. Same rider runs every sled to see how quick it is. They do I think it's 600 feet that they do a timed run, see how quickly the sled can go. So it's fun to see what the stats are for the new sleds and how quick they are, and then you go and you look at how light they are and what's going on. It's very interesting because Yamaha just announced that this is their last year for making snowmobiles. So yeah, they will not be making snowmobiles anymore. So we're going to go from 4 manufacturers down to 3. Yamaha and Arctic Cat had really been sharing a lot of their technology. So even though there was 4 manufacturers, it was really only 3. Yamaha provided some engines, and then Arctic Cat built most of the sleds for Yamaha. So, but it's still a fun thing to do in the winter if you got nothing else going on, and we love to do it. So that's where I'm at.
Outstanding. And for me, I mean, I can't believe nobody's mentioned it yet. It was what's got me geeked this past week was Thanksgiving. I mean, we got to do the Gobble Wobble, man. Okay, I don't know about the rest of you, but just by the time dinner's done, you're practically rolling yourself to the couch. No? Okay.
You
I
do
just
that
like saying the Gobble Wobble.
You made it to the couch. That's good.
I did. It was a Herculean effort, but I made it there. And then I didn't fucking move again because, dessert and everything came to me at that point. So
Nice.
sitting
That's
there like
what it
a
should be.
fat fucking king, practically Jabba the goddamn Hutt on the couch.
Do you cook,
solo?
do you cook the turkey, or does someone else in your house?
Kristen cooks.
I didn't know if you did it out on the grill or anything.
No.
A
We've
turducken?
got to try our. We've got one of those propane things that I want to try it with.
House burners?
Yeah, basically. Yes.
Deep fry.
Oh, the deep fryer?
Yeah, turduckens, I think they're called.
It's
please.
it's an
connect them over to
infrared
watch.
kind of thing. It's not like
If
where you
go to
drop it
watch
into the
them, you
oil
gotta
and shit.
video it.
Right. I mean, we need that shit for content.
God.
We'll get it branded and everything. Put a sticker on the outside of it that converts into flames.
Brought to you by
Don't burn your house down.
I'll even bring a fire extinguisher.
We had a weird thing happen at Thanksgiving. I make the turkey the same way every year. I did nothing different this year. But for some reason, now one of the things I do is I take an apple, an onion, and 2 cinnamon sticks. and I put them in the microwave in water for 5 minutes, and I put it inside the cavity of the bird before I put it in the oven so the aromatics can flavor the breast. It's the first time the cinnamon actually came through in the drippings in the gravy, which was weird because, I mean, I do it the same way every year, but there was a very slight. It's not like the gravy tasted like cinnamon, but you were like, there's something different here. It wasn't awful. My wife really wasn't a fan because it wasn't my traditional gravy. But I don't think it was a failure because it wasn't bad. It was just really weird. I don't know why this is the first time that happened.
This had nothing to do with the fact that you had the giant turkey schlong going on.
That wasn't my
Shown
actual,
here.
That wasn't my actual turkey, Paul. I grabbed that picture off Facebook and shared it with you guys to make you laugh.
It worked. Now hopefully the fans, both of them, will make a good out of it.
No,
Um,
I took the schlong out of my turkey and put it in the bottom of the pan to flavor the gravy.
Yes, with your cinnamon sticks. So did you?
And
Those
butter.
were in the cavity of the bird.
Oh, that's right. You shoved them up the.
Here we go
So
again.
the
a
bird got
theme.
a colonoscopy too.
All right. So
The
and one more
bird.
thing to add for my what's got me geeked. And Hugh, it'll come as no surprise to you because you were very quick to text me. But the best in the world's back. And I would have wore the shirt, but I wore it the other day. CM Punk made his debut back on WWE at Survivor Series.
Never would have thought it was going to happen. Would have
You know what? In Triple H's tweet,
Froze over.
yes, that was the best thing. It's
What?
mighty chilly in hell. And it was a picture of him and Punk shaking hands. So
I noticed though, his promo on Monday Night Raw. I mean, yeah, there was the whole, I'm back and I'm home thing, which everyone's making a big deal about. That was not the same level of CM Punk energy we saw in AEW. He
agree.
definitely, they're like, you better watch yourself because you're not getting out of line. And I mean, this is really his last chance to make big money.
100%. And I mean, he even said it at the end of that
Yep, he's not there to make friends. he's
thing.
there to-
I'm not there to make friends, I'm there to make money, which I found kind of funny because he starts off with, oh, I'm here, I'm home, this is home, you guys, it's all about you guys, big love, fuck you, pay me.
Yeah,
that's
pretty much.
Yeah. And I mean, let's be honest, yes, he's going to play to the crowd. They have to make him a baby face at least for a little while because everyone's going to be so jacked to see him. He cannot get over as a heel right now, so he's got to play babyface. But then the real Punk, the real Pepsi Phil, showed through at the end there. So, but I'm super excited to see him. Madison popped, like she was all about it when that hit, and it was funny because the whole show. You go the whole show, and if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, that didn't watch it. At the end of the pay-per-view, like first we had a big return with Randy Orton.
Was there an invitation for a pay-per-view that I
because
missed?
I wasn't even sure I was going to be home. We had other shit going on, and I literally got home with 10 minutes to spare before the show started. And Dave even tried to invite himself. That was great. But anyway, the whole show goes through. We get the big ending with Randy Orton returning. And then all of a sudden the music hits. And I was confused. I just kind of sat there going, and then he comes out with his really bad haircut, by the way. I noticed that. Yeah. And I'm just like, this is fucking real. Holy shit. So then I had to stay up and watch the press conference to find out. But to everybody, for you guys, I kept my mouth shut because I had my phone in my hand. I was ready to start texting at that point already. And I'm like, you know what? I don't know if these guys are watching. I don't want to ruin it. So I kept my mouth shut.
Because that wasn't ruined for me.
Good.
And it was really clever that they threw up the fucking graphic at the end of always shows up at the end of the pay-per-view before they cut the camera off, the WWE 2023, whatever. They played that to make people think it was over. And it was on the screen for an awful long time. And I'm just like, this, because I always wait for it to go to the recap video that they do.
Yes, the
before I
package
shut it off. And yeah, then his music hits. And I was actually wondering, could they possibly fucking be trolling people just because they're in Chicago and it's been talked about all week? And everyone's like, CM Punk's coming back at Survivor Series. And everyone else is like, that's never going to fucking happen.
Right.
The last time he showed up to one of their shows, Vince McMahon kicked him out.
Yes.
You know, it's
Said,
not going to
you
happen.
gotta go. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was like the secret that wasn't a secret. Everyone was talking about it just because people always make up rumors. We're used to this. They say,
Mhm.
oh, this is going to happen at this show, and it never does. So we just
Right.
all assumed that that's what this was because it was like I saw a headline, CM Punk is spotted in Chicago ahead of WWE Survivor Series. Is he going to show up? No, he fucking lives there.
Right. He was probably getting groceries. Leave
He
him
didn't
alone.
leave the city just because they came to town.
Right. It's not like a restraining order. I gotta go. They're here. I gotta go. Yeah, but like you said Monday night, not everybody's happy to see him. So and I don't know how much of that's real or how much is a work, but I've seen some of the fan footage of Seth's reaction to him.
Yeah, that was good if it was
Yeah.
fake.
That man deserves an Academy Award.
You know what though? No, it wasn't. Because here's the thing. Whether he likes CM Punk or not, being a dickhead to a guy that they just brought in and they're paying probably millions of dollars to come in there, there's no way they'd let him do that unless it was they're like, hey, this is what you're gonna do. Or it's okay. I don't feel like anything that happens in that company isn't scripted in some way, shape, or form.
Potentially. I agree. But I found it weird that even the announced team had to go up and like diffuse Seth. Also, did you see the one with Rhea? Have you seen that video?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Hers, I feel, was more scripted because she's a bad guy and it's got to be that way. But I mean, I guess we'll see. I mean, I mean, are we really gonna get Seth Punk at WrestleMania 40? Could I see them putting the title on him already? Yes. You're going to spend the money on the guy. You know he's going to bring in money. I think it already worked for me because literally the next day I already sent the link to Kristen to his new shirt on WWE.com and I was like, hey, Christmas is coming. So, yes, guys, I'm a huge CM Punk mark if you didn't know already.
No.
No, I didn't know. I didn't know.
But it just means nothing to you anyway, Kevin. So it's okay. It's okay. But let's move on. This is not the wrestling segment. I'm sorry.
I want to throw one thing out there. Very recently, I actually had a chance to listen to an interview with Dwayne Johnson, where he talked about how he got into wrestling, talked about his father, who was a phenomenal wrestler himself.
Never really got the credit he deserved. Yes.
No, I fully believe that based on just what little bit of searching I did on him. Also, in a time when wrestlers just didn't get paid.
Very true.
At all. I mean,
Yeah.
They did all sorts of work to do what they did, and they didn't get paid. It was also a lot more physical. Not that it's not physical now, but
they're way more protected now. Yes.
It was right. It was actually a real physical wrestling game or competition where they had to actually wrestle the other guy.
Yeah, now we have a concussion protocol. Back then, they had a concussion punch card, and when you filled it up, everybody paid for your drinks after the show.
And a free pizza too, probably.
So the only thing I want to say is what I found really interesting was the how and the why behind the switch that got flipped with him with The Rock when he went from the most hated to there was a point when, because what he was told to do was he was told to be, forget what the term was he used, basically the fall guy, the bad guy. There's a term for that.
Heel?
The heel?
The heel. He was told to be a heel and he played it off. He hated it every single day. He hated it. This is him speaking now. I don't know what you saw. I don't know what you experienced, but I'm just going by the interview. And then he flipped that where he went back on the audience, and I guess that's about the time that things changed and people started thinking about him a little bit differently, which I thought was very interesting. And that's all I really wanted to say was I know him. I knew he was a wrestler. Never saw him wrestle. Seen him in quite a few movies. Think he's kind of okay sometimes. I think it's really the writing that makes him a good in a movie more than him, because he's another one of those actors that's always Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. But anyway, all I had to say.
All right. I think I heard at least more than a few bits of that interview you were listening to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hesitate to say where I saw the interview, but if anybody
I think
has
we
seen
were
one recently,
at least,
you'll know where it is.
yeah.
I don't want to advertise the fact that I listen to that show at all.
Well, that, and I'm sure they need the promotion,
Yeah. No.
So let's move it along, guys. What are you playing?
Nothing.
I played Sniper Elite 5.
What was
Made
it?
it back to it.
Yeah, I got back into it. I got through like 3 missions. I finished the first one. Then I finished the first 2, so I'm on to the third one now. But my so I was playing, and my son's like, you don't have to kill everybody that's in there. I'm like, where's the fun in that? Like, I got to find every single person on this map and kill them before I go back and get all the collectibles. And he's like, well, why would you do that? But, I mean, it's fun to do. It's fun to try to do it. Like sometimes, you have to hit them with the sniper rifle, but a lot of times, to me, it's like trying to walk up on somebody and just kill them silently, stab them type of thing, break their neck type of thing. That to me is the fun part of it. You can run through a place and shoot everybody as you're running through, but they sound the alarm and everybody comes running, and then you're running around and killing everybody, whatnot. It's not as fun to do that, but I try to go through, like I was saying, and just melee kill everyone, which is silently kill everyone. So, but I think there's 5 or 6 or 7 missions or something like that. I'm on 3 right now, so
Nice.
So, but yeah, I've been playing that. I played that a couple times. I was going to get back into Valhalla, but I gave it to my brother to play for a little while. So I was going to have him bring it back to Thanksgiving, and I forgot to call him in time, so he didn't bring it. So
I'm sure he's not playing it anyway. I think he's pretty wrapped up in something else right now.
yeah, I think he is too.
All right.
I've actually played a couple different things recently. Still playing Walking Dead No Man's Land on a daily basis. Finally got a chance to try out the Mortuary Assistant, which is a computer game. Really interesting. You actually perform like embalming and shit, like fucking yeah, it's pretty graphic. But the probably the most interesting thing I've done is I went circled back around, and I've been trying to get my Sinden light gun working. Well, I mean, I have it working on my computer, but it works for like a couple games, and there's a bunch of games I just cannot get it to work on. But the thing is, like, it's not really the gun. I can't get those games to run. So the gun's software is probably fine. I can't seem to find the correct. I'm running a front end, and then there are other programs, because depending on where this game from, is it arcade, is it PC, is it emulated from somewhere else? There's one emulator called TechnoParrot, which does a lot of arcade emulation, and that'll start up in the background, and if I shut the system off, TechnoParrot will still be running. I can't figure out, like, everyone says, well, you have to set up everything manually for each game in TechnoParrot, but I go to TechnoParrot, the game's listed there. It's like, what the fuck do I set? I don't understand what I'm supposed to set. It looks like it's set up. Anyway, decided to try to go a different way. I discovered that there was one Sinden plug-and-play image. It's a Batacera image, which is Linux. I downloaded it from Arcade Punks. But it's you have to put it on a bootable drive. So I grabbed a 256 gigabyte flash drive, loaded it on there. Wasn't exactly sure. I plugged it into my gaming computer, turned it on, nothing happened. My computer just booted up. Finally figured it out. Hold down F12, choose the drive you want to boot from. Kevin already knows this stuff. I learned something new today.
No, it's good. That's good. Yeah. I love hearing this stuff.
So I got that thing to run, and here's the great thing about it. It actually works exactly like it says. It puts up the border around the screen for Sinden, but I discovered that it really only runs the older games. So it's not a solution to the overarching problem I'm running into. Like it'll run House of the Dead 1 and 2. And yeah, I love those games, but I really want to play 3, 4, and Scarlet Dawn and other more modern games that can be run on computer. People are doing it. I just now I have 2 places where I can play some of the games I want to play. It looks like I'm going to have to go a third direction, and hopefully that'll complete the collection. But it's a lot of jiggery pokery.
Jiggery pokery.
Paul, it sounds to me like Hugh's going to have a house like your buddy there before long.
Oh yeah, I got
Just
yes. All the
emulators
games everywhere. Yes.
There's a pinball system here. There's an emulator system there. There's another different one there. Every freaking game you can think of. I can just
I
see Hugh
don't
doing
have
that.
the room for that. I've got my pinball machine behind me, and then I've got my computer and big screen set up. And that big screen is there's the emulators on the computer. There's the emulators on my Raspberry Pi. It's all plugged into that.
Pi.
That's how it starts. That's how it starts.
Well, but that's how it started. Like for a few years, I've been working on that. I literally don't have the room to do what you're talking about. If I did, I would absolutely, but there's no more room unless I move the cat box. So,
Rock the cat box. Sorry, what's up?
There's always the basement.
no,
Just kidding. That's different. That's different.
my basement is fucked.
That's different.
All right. Well, if nobody else is playing anything, because I'm not, I've had no time to get into anything. I do want to mention that they just announced season 2 of AEW Fight Forever, with 3 more DLCs coming. The first that already dropped was Dynamite the Elite, not the Elite, the Acclaimed. So the Acclaimed are in the game now. Yes.
So 2 more people who should have been there on launch day. They were tag champs at the time that game launched, and they weren't in the game.
Yeah. And the current Dynamite arena, which also should have been in the game.
Maybe by season 5 they'll have a complete game.
Maybe. So let's move it along to a different complete game, because it's time for Kev's tabletop review. Hit it.
We're going to roll right into it?
Yes.
All right. I got one for you this week. I actually had a chance to play this game at my wife's sister's house. She had it out. There was some kids over. Some of the siblings had their children along in tow, and one of the little monsters wanted to play some games. So I sat down and took a look at what we had going on. This game was one of them. Did a little bit of research on this game, took some pictures of it, and looked up some reviews. Found out that this game is over 250 years old. That's right.
Ancient gaming.
Yes, this is an older game, and I'm going to read you a little bit about what Board Game Geek has on this. The game is called Shut the Box. It's Shut the Box. All right. You roll dice and combine the outcomes so you can knock down the most numbered tiles. I'll explain the layout to you in a few minutes. I sent Paul some pictures, and hopefully he'll be able to link them into the podcast. 2 to 4 players, 30-minute playing time, ages 8 and up. And here's the fun part. Weight 1.08 out of 5. This is probably one of the easiest games that I have ever reviewed on this podcast. What's cool about this game is not that it is simple, but that it's simple and it teaches some simple math skills. So it'd be great for teaching a younger child how to play a game, or just giving it to them and letting them at it. You can really play this game 1 player, and you can play it up to a lot of the instructions say up to 4, 2 to 4. But I found some of these board setups that are set up for up to 6 players. Let me just explain this to you how it works. Picture a little wooden box, short sides, maybe an inch and a half tall. and there's a wooden dowel along one end of it, and on that wooden dowel are 9 little pieces of wood that have numbers on them, 1 through 9. And the idea is you flip these numbers down, closing the box, the little part of the box that they're in, as you roll 2 dice. And what you do is when you roll the dice, if I roll 2 dice, I get 2 and 4. Okay, I can either put down the 2 tile and the 4 tile, or I can put down the 6 tile. You continue to roll the dice until you cannot close any more of the tiles. Okay, so after you have closed tiles 7, 8, and 9, you can modify the rules and say now you can only roll 1 die if you want. If you're down to tiles 1, 2, and 4, and you roll a 6 and a 1, you can complete the game because you can put the 4, the 2, and the 1 down. If you roll a 6 and a 2, you can't complete the game. Whatever's left up, that's your score. And there's also different ways to score. The 1, the 2, and the 4 could be scored as 7, or they could be scored as 124. It all depends on how you want to run the rules, and as long as you run them consistently, you'll have a great time. What I found for games, I looked on Amazon, and what I found for games are a simple box game, like I described, as if it were for one player, but you would play yours. You play your complete hand. You'd play through until you can't play anymore. Then the next person will play, and the next person will play. Or there are other games that have 4, 5, or 6 different sides. So you could actually play one at a time where everybody gets their own set of 2 dice, and everyone plays. I roll, I do mine, Paul rolls, he does his, Hugh rolls, he does his, etc., all the way around until we get to the point where no one can play any longer, and then you take your scores, and the lowest score wins. Because if you're totaling your numbers, obviously the higher the numbers you have, the worse you did, so the lowest score would win. Very, very, very simple game, very attractive game. If you see some of these game setups, you can see very quickly how you could do something very simple for a travel game, something very durable for children if you wanted to get them for young children, or something very, very nice if you wanted to have something with a nice finished look to it because you wanted to get it out with some other friends that you're going to have sitting around. I think this is a great little game. It should be in everybody's game closet, sideboard, wherever you keep your games. This is one of those things that has endured and I think will continue to endure. Prices anywhere from $9 on eBay up to a little over $20 on Amazon for brand new games. Absolutely no reason not to own this game. Just a great little game. $17.50 is what's listed on Board Game Geek is when this game first came out. They don't really know for sure. It's in public domain now, so there's a ton of different publishers and manufacturers, and it goes by
I'm sorry, did you say
names.
something about a Geek Pod shut the box game?
You know what? That's not a bad idea.
I like it.
That's your game for the week. Shut the box.
Outstanding. Okay. Look for that on Amazon in the coming weeks when we figure out how to jump on that. All right.
I'd buy one.
Right. I know a guy who does wood burning too. So
Perfect.
Well, we know somebody who does laser engraving as well.
yes, we do. Right. Yeah. Anyway, I think it's a good time to throw it to break, and we'll come back with the news. Stick with us, guys.
Hi, this is Craig Palmer. If you ever aspire to be a wrestler, come on down to Upstate Wrestling Entertainment, located at 1121 Glenwood Avenue in Nottingham, Georgia. We're open every Tuesday and Thursday from 6:30 p.m. until 9 p.m. Come on down and join us. See you then.
Looking for the hottest new comic on the shelf or a key back issue to complete your run? How about that rare statue or action figure that you've scoured the internet looking for? Come to Collectibles Galore, located in North Syracuse with ample off-street parking. Collectibles Galore has a huge selection of comics, toys, and rare pop culture items you won't find anywhere else. Comics Galore is always buying comics and toys and will give you the fairest price for your collection. New customers get 15% off their first purchase in store. Collectibles Galore for all of your pop culture needs. Stop in and see for yourself why Collectibles Galore is the king of comics.
Now, before you ask your 12-year-old a normal question and she flips out asking why you have to make everything weird, here's the news. For real, we are watching The Walking Dead right now, and Negan showed up and killed people, and I asked Avery what she thought of Negan, and she said, why can't we just watch it? Why do you have to ask questions and make it weird? Anyway, first up, walking it back. Warner Brothers opened up a huge can of worms recently when they announced they were shelving their Wile E Coyote film for a tax break, much like they did with Batgirl. The big difference was that Coyote vs. Acme was not only finished, but had super positive test screenings. The $70 million mixed live-action animation film looked like it was going to be a hit, and the media in Hollywood immediately flipped the fuck out. It's one thing to dump an unfinished film that you don't want to spend more money on, but to take a completely different movie that's all done and just shelving it. I mean, that's ridiculous. Those people spent 3 years completing testing a film, and there were interested buyers. People actually wanted to buy this film, but Warner Brothers was refusing to sell. They wouldn't even entertain any offers. After the huge outcry, they stepped back onto the ledge, unlike Wile E Coyote, and said they will allow the filmmakers to shop the film around for a potential buyer. I just don't get it. It's like they made a thing, people want to buy the thing, and they decide to throw it in the trash without even seeing if they could sell it for more than the cost. This is why Warner Brothers is in so much trouble. It isn't superhero fatigue. It's stupidity. Even lawmakers in Congress called for the FTC to look into this, saying it's like burning down a building for the insurance money. I mean, they should not be looking at Hollywood and trying to do investigations there. They have bigger fish to fry. Next up, at least we don't have to fear another season. As of this recording, the 2-part series finale of Fear the Walking Dead is in the rear view, and thank fucking God this big steaming pile of horseshit is over. I once regarded the show as the Good Walking Dead show. Now it's almost a Mad Magazine parody of itself. Where the Southeast U.S. is only about 20 square miles, characters can find anyone or anything almost immediately unless the story is they spend all season looking for them, and where characters flip-flop more often than presidential candidates, and logic and continuity has no home. Now, is anyone watching? Did anyone watch this last season? All right. I just want to give you one sample episode close to the end. I think it was 2 or 3 episodes to the end, three episodes for the end. Okay. So Troy, who died in the dam in season 4, I think, is back. He has a daughter, and Strand kidnaps his daughter. Everyone else comes back, says, no, we're going to give the daughter back to Troy because that makes sense. So they're all on a boat, and they're going down a river, and they're going to find Troy and take his daughter back to him. His daughter jumps off the boat, somehow manages to swim to shore with her hands tied together. Strand jumps out after her and finds her. They both immediately find Madison, who left the group and is just killing zombies somewhere. And they're like, oh, hey, let's go off and do this thing. They immediately find the truck stop where all of the other characters have been showing up in all this time. They decide to go off and try to find where this girl says Alicia's walker is. They kick Strand out of the truck in the middle of a bunch of walkers, and immediately the big gun truck shows up with Alicia's angels in it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I didn't know Alicia had angels.
Oh,
A lot changed.
A bunch of girls inspired by Alicia just happened to be right there. So literally, they kick Strand out of the truck. He's about to get eaten. They show up right there, even though they weren't following them. I mean, I don't fucking know. Okay. 10 minutes later, it's winter and zombies are frozen to the ground. And this little girl says, you know, my mother died because of what you and Alicia did. And we finally got that story. I was going to say something about how ridiculous that was. It is still ridiculous because here's the logic. This guy wants to kill Madison because after she tried to kill him, this girl saves him. They're together. They have a baby. She follows Madison, and he's at no point is like, hey, you know what? Maybe you shouldn't listen to that person on the radio. She tried to fucking kill me. And then when she dies, he's like, it's Madison's fault. This makes no fucking sense at all. Fuck this shit. I hope Andrew Chambliss and Ian Goldberg die and spend eternity in hell on the set of Cop Rock. And finally, bird talk. In what might be the strangest story of the week, the Puteki Teki Bird has won the Bird of the Century contest in New Zealand. This is somehow a yearly contest, but whatever. It's notable because comedian and TV host John Oliver is the reason. A few weeks ago on Last Week Tonight, he announced he was naming himself the campaign manager for the Puteki Teki and took billboards and advertisements out all over the world, urging folks to vote for this strange bird. Since the contest is open to the entire world, you can imagine how that went. The Puteki Teki won by an enormous landslide, and many in New Zealand are angry that a Brit has once again used their power and influence to run things in another country. Although it's been strange hearing New Zealanders refer to him as a powerful American comedian with a huge following. Now, don't get me wrong. John Oliver might be my favorite comedian currently, but he's like the last place comedian in the hierarchy in this country, kind of like David Hasselhoff being a huge singer in Germany. I mean, but he describes them as weird puking birds with colorful mullets. What's not to love? I mean, if that isn't a good argument for British colonialism, I don't know what is. And that's the news, kids. Now, I have to get back to making my list of canned responses whenever Avery asks me a question. For example, what's for dinner? Why can't you just eat it? Why do you have to ask questions and make it weird? Can I sleep over at my friend's? Why can't you just sleep here? Why do you have to ask questions and make it weird? And finally, can you buy this for me? Why can't we just be poor? Why do you have to ask for things and make it weird? Paul?
In other news, Donald Duck comic books were banned in Finland because he doesn't wear pants. Back to you, Corbs.
Ever wondered that though?
That's why I never read the books.
But have you ever wondered why Donald Duck, when he gets out of the shower, wraps a towel around his waist, but when he's walking around, he doesn't wear pants?
Maybe he's trying to dry his feathers off.
Is that a euphemism?
No, he's trying to dry his feathers off because he got out of the shower.
It's weird.
He's worried about
get it.
He's worried about what's coming.
From Finland.
Wouldn't that be Daisy?
We really need to move on here.
Oh my god.
Spurts.
Hurts. All right. Well, I guess we'll talk sports now. I don't know how you follow up that, but so what's been going on in the world of sports? Not much been going on. You know, let's see. So golf is starting back up, which is fun for me because more to talk about. Hero World Challenges this weekend. It's kind of like the first official start of the new season of golf. I guess you would say that there's a couple of tournaments before that they play overseas, but this one is actually hosted by Tiger Woods. He has not played golf since the Masters last year. He had ankle surgery after his car accident 2-3 years ago, where he rounded a corner at 80 plus miles an hour and drove his car off a cliff into a tree and shattered his ankle, kind of like my friend Justin did, and broke his other leg, kind of like my friend Justin did. He had to have ankle surgery, knee surgery, all that stuff. He has said that it is a success, and that he is playing in this weekend's tournament. It's the first tournament since the Masters back in April. So almost a year since he had surgery again. So it'll be interesting to see. He's kind of said that he can only play one tournament. He's only going to play one tournament a month, or he's going to try to at least for a little while and see how it is, and then he'll probably reassess after that, after the first couple of tournaments or whatever. So be nice to see him back playing. He is a little bit out. He is older now, so he's probably looking to head to the senior tour soon. Here, when you turn 50, you can play on the senior circuit. So he'll probably do that. And they play a lot less than the regular circuit does. So like I said, and a lot of the main guys are playing in this week's tournament. You know, all the top guys are going to be there. So it'd be nice to get a chance to watch that. I did so SU basketball. I know a lot of you guys don't follow SU basketball. I'm not really following all that much. Jack's back.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah.
So SU basketball, they played last night. They won last night. They're 4-2. It's good for them. Can't wait for them to get into the ACC here to see how good they actually really are. Watched a little bit of the game. They still play the zone, the 2-3 zone a little bit, but they do play a little man-to-man now, which I think is they need to go that route. I've talked to many people about Boeheim and him running the zone. It was great. It was great in the 80s and the 90s and even in the early 2000s, but the game has changed and people are now can shoot over the zone. A lot of guys are shooting the ball from the outside a lot better, and that zone didn't work against that. It really wasn't geared to keeping guys from. It was geared to make guys shoot from the outside when they weren't doing that all that much. But now the guys are doing that and are better from out there. You need to change the aspect of the game, and he just didn't. I think that was his downfall. I think that's why he retired or was forced to retire.
Right.
Yeah. But good for. I mean, like I said last year, when he decided to walk away, it's good for him. He can go watch his two sons play. One of his sons plays overseas. One of his sons plays in the G League, so he can kind of go and travel and do that. He can play a lot of golf, which is something that he likes to do. SU football. We'll talk about that real quick. Two big things happened since the last time we've been on. They fired the head coach. So they played. I don't know if I mentioned this the last time we were on the show. The last time they played at the Dome, which I think I might have mentioned.
Questions.
Yeah,
go ahead.
So at the Dome last time they played, they were literally chanting to fire the head coach because they played so poorly. They gave him 2 more games to right the ship, and he didn't. After the second game, it was supposedly was mutual that he decided to end his tenure with the team. But I think it was more like they said, you got to go.
I guess what I was hearing too, Wildhack was saying, like, we can give you the last game, and Dino Babers was like, nah, I'm not going to do it.
Right. So it was a mutual thing. Like, I think they decided that you can coach the last game or you can leave now, but you're not coming back after this season. And he decided just to walk away. So the tight end coach was the head coach for the last game. And they won the last game, which made them bowl eligible. So they're bowl eligible for the back-to-back years for their first time since 2013 or 2012, 2013, something like that. That's the first time they've gone back-to-back years going to a bowl game, which is good for the school, gets them more exposure, gets them another month of playing together, and it gets them the money they get for going to the bowl game. So the school's going to get paid for them to go into the bowl game, which is nice. SU did hire a new head coach. It did not take long for them to hire a coach. They hired the defensive back coach away from Georgia, which Jack will tell you, and he knows that Georgia is the best team in the nation. They are number one. They've been number one for the past 3 years. They have not relinquished the spot once in 3 years. So hiring somebody off their staff is probably a good thing. They said this guy is a fantastic recruiter. He recruits down south, which is what they need. He's also from the Jersey area, so he has ties to the Northeast, which helps. He's going to be able to get guys to come back to the school and play. So that hopefully that'll be good. They just said the same thing about Babers when they hired him too. He's a former Syracuse guy. He coached here, played here, coached here. I think he played here, but every place he's gone, he was a winner, and he was going to right the ship, and the ship kind of hit a rock.
So I got to ask.
Yep.
It sounds to me like he just gave up. Like he got to a point where he hit a wall or something. And he just
I think
gave
you're
up.
right. I think you're right, Kev. I do think that there was a spot where he just kind of was like, you know what? I'm not going to do any. You're going to let me go anyways. So,
Well, no. Before that, because it had to get right. It had to get bad before it got real bad, right?
Right.
So, what happened? And I don't expect you to know. I don't expect any of us.
I don't really know, but
what could happen?
well,
what were they saying behind closed doors that got the man to that point where he just like, well, fuck this. I don't give a shit about anything. I don't give a shit about the program or nothing. He just gave up.
It's also
I don't know the answer to that. So
it's also kind of mutual too, because Nick Saban is the best college coach in college football, and he makes like $10 to $12 million a year.
Where does that come in?
Because that's what I'm getting into it. Because SU is a very cheap school, and they will only literally pay a coach maybe $3 million. A lot of these coaches are like, fuck you. I'm not going to come to your program and try to fix it, because Syracuse is a cheap school and they will not pay for like a top tier coordinator or a top tier former coach to come in here. Like we should get like that Mullen guy, that Dan Mullen should have been our coach, but we don't know what happened behind closed doors. But SU doesn't pay a lot.
He was here. Well, he was here before the game last weekend. He was actually in Syracuse, had an interview, and was like, "No, I'm not taking the job."
Exactly.
He came out of the interview, went right to the airport, and somebody called up to him and said, "Hey, are you coming here to be a coach?" He's like, "No, I'm not coaching here." So there's something with the AD.
Wild hack.
Yeah. So there's something between.
Is that so? Yeah. So that would be the athletic director, right? So that would be the idea, is that there's some kind of butting heads or something.
Yeah.
That's causing. I mean, that's all. I mean, I'm as an outsider just seeing what's happening. You know, he's here for years, and now all of a sudden he's like, "Ah, I'm not even going to see it to the end." What has to happen? Because I know what's happened in my life that caused something like that to happen. It makes me wonder what happened to him that pushed him over that edge.
Right. It has to do, I think, with the last couple of years. The last couple of years, I mean, last year and this year, he started out 4-0, both years. 4-0. Now, he wasn't playing really good teams. I mean, you play Central Michigan, you play Wagner, you play Cornell, and you play, I think they played Purdue this year, and then last year I don't know who they played last year, but you
UMass.
What's that?
UMass.
Okay. So you win the first 4 games, and everybody's like, oh, great, it's going to be a great season. And then you get into your actual conference play, and you play the likes of Clemson, North Carolina, Florida State, Louisville, and these teams are blowing other teams away, and you get into these games, and you can't compete. But on the same token, you don't go out and get players that allow you to compete, and the players that you do have that are good have decided now that, okay, well, I'm good enough to play here. I'm going to go play someplace else. And if I don't play down there, I don't care, because I don't want to be here. The weather sucks for somebody to come from Florida to come to Syracuse to play football where it snows 6 months a year. Do you really want to do that? Or would you rather go to Alabama or LSU or Georgia and maybe sit on the bench? But the weather's great, and I'm on a top tier school. I'm going to be in a bowl game every year. So he literally, like, I think he won maybe in 8 years. I think he won maybe 7 or 8 games in November alone. When you're playing 4 games in November every year.
Oh, okay. So I got more questions.
Okay.
So the only reason why a poor kid goes to college to play football is because somebody promises him the world.
Yep.
And what is it about SU that brings players here if it isn't the promise of a world-class coach that's going to take them to the next level.
It's the promise of playing time. So these kids that are coming here, they're whoever they might be. If they're a top tier receiver here at SU, they may not be a top tier receiver at Georgia, at Alabama. So you can go to a kid and say,
okay,
you can go there and yeah, you'll be on the national championship team or the team that's in the national championship. But are you going to be on the field showing what you can do?
Because they got to play. They got to play in order for somebody to see them
Right.
to want them for the pros.
The NFL, for the pros, exactly. So if you go someplace like Alabama and don't play, well, you're going to get the education maybe if you go to classes or not. But
none of these players get an education. Let's just not even play that game. None of these players get a fucking education. They might get a degree. They don't get a fucking education unless they want it.
Right.
Unless they want it, and there are some that do. There are some that come out of these programs and they do very well for themselves throughout their lives. The vast majority of them are fucking criminals before they go in, and they're criminals when they come out. Because that's all they know.
Right.
So that was my question, though. Why go to SU? But you just answered the question.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. And they don't. So SU is as an expensive of a proposition as it is for anyone to go there.
Right.
They won't pay their football coach. They paid their basketball coaches.
Yep.
Well,
they won't play their football.
Well,
SU is a basketball school.
Yes.
I know, but
Boeheim wasn't paid like Coach K was paid around $8 to $10 million a year. Boeheim, even though it's still a lot of money, he was only making about $2.5 million a year. But
Boeheim was a lifer. Boeheim was a lifer.
Exactly, but he made money with endorsements and all that. But what Corbs is saying, Syracuse is a basketball school. We started in the Big East and then went to the ACC. Corbs, you can back me up on this because we went there for football opportunity. Daryl Gross tried to take us there, and we've been faltered ever since.
Yeah, yeah. We went to the ACC for basketball. It was no other thing about it. The school decided to go from the Big East, where they were probably the top dog in the Big East, to the ACC, so that the schools could play against North Carolina, Duke, Maryland, Georgia Tech, Clemson, Virginia, all these big schools that, like, Duke is obviously a basketball school. Everybody knows Duke. Everybody knows Coach K. North Carolina, Dean Smith and all those guys, Roy Williams. Those are schools that are always in the top 10. If North Carolina and Duke are not in the top 10, basketball is in a state of emergency. If one of those two schools aren't someplace in the top 10. So that was the reason why SU went from the Big East to the ACC. They went for basketball competition, and that was it. There was no other reason behind them going there. People can say, well, it's a better school system. It had nothing to do with anything other than they wanted the basketball team to be in a better conference.
So the fan base, the popularity of Orange football doesn't mean a fucking thing to them.
Nope.
Well, at one point in the 90s, after Coach McPherson retired, we had Paul Pasqualoni as our coach. This was in the 90s, and I was probably an early teenager. But I remember my dad watching this team, and I'm like, he's like, oh, damn, we only won 9 games this year. I'm like, Dad, that's a good record. Syracuse in the 90s was consistently good. It wasn't great, but it was consistently good. And then when the Daryl Gross came in from USC, he took too much, and he was like, we're going to go to the promised land. And then since then, we've had maybe 4 or 5 good seasons, and then the rest have been like under 500 seasons in the past. After that, Pasqualoni had us consistently good. It wasn't great, but it was good seasons. Bowl get eligible every year.
But it sounds like that's all SU wants is good.
Exactly. They're the school, in my
they don't want great.
If you want my opinion, it is a basketball school, but it is a very cheap school. They do not pay their college football coach, in my opinion.
What SU needs for the football program is to recruit some kid that's a 3-star recruit, border on a 4-star recruit, that shows up here and just lights the world on fire. Quarterback, receiver, something to that effect, a running back.
But what good is that going to do if he doesn't have a team to back him up?
But what'll happen is he may draw another kid in that's, so if you get a 5-star recruit to come here, if you get one of the top recruits in the nation, which is never going to happen because these kids are all going to go to Alabama. They're going to go to Georgia. They're going to go to Florida State. They're going to go to Miami. These are big name schools. And when you think of football
Well,
schools,
SU isn't a big enough degree to matter to kids that can get it from LSU or wherever.
Right. And if you have a choice, if you're a top tier football player, if you have a choice between SU and any school down south, are you gonna come to the crappiest place weather-wise?
But it's like you said, it's all about playtime. If they're on the border of, they could be great, but they just need somebody to see them. I see what you're saying. I understand it a little bit better now.
Yeah.
Well, if you're a top tier kicker, maybe I'll come to Syracuse because I'll be kicking in a dome.
Right, and they always have good kickers. We've that's been we in the 80s and 90s we were known as Kicker U.
Yes.
In the late 80s, early 90s, we were known as Linebacker U because you had Keith Bullock, a couple of those guys, and we were also known as Wide Receiver U because you had Marvin Harrison, Rob Moore. All these guys came, but that's when you had a good quarterback. You had Donovan McPherson. You had Don McPherson. You had these guys that could throw the ball, and they threw the ball a lot more. Now you're getting these guys like Sean Tucker. I can't remember the kid's name necessarily now. His first name is LeGarrette something.
Something like that.
Something like that. He's a good running back. Sean Tucker's a good running back. He should still be here, but he didn't want to wait around and take the chance of getting hurt. Like, he decided to go to the NFL last year, didn't play in the bowl game, and didn't get drafted and signed with Tampa Bay, and he's making the league minimum, but he's happy to be out of Syracuse. I mean, that tells you the dysfunction that the school football program has, that the guys that are good enough to be here, are stars to be here, are leaving on the outside chance they might make the NFL. They're not. It's not even the fact that if he stayed here and played this year, I for sure guarantee he would have gotten drafted somewhere this draft. But he left a year early on a chance that he might get drafted, and he didn't.
And it's also surprising too because we had a quarterback named Tommy DeVito, and then he transferred to Illinois for 1 year, and he's now the New York Giants starting quarterback, and they're playing the Sopranos theme song when he's entering MetLife Stadium. They're like, "This guy's amazing." I'm like, he was never this good at Syracuse.
But he was decent in Illinois. I watched him play.
Okay.
The first game he played at Illinois, they interviewed him after the game, and he said, "It's the first time in my college career that I have not spent more time on my ass than I did on my feet."
Huh.
Interesting.
I'll tell you right now, that was a complete dig at Dino Babers and the SU football program.
Yeah.
That's all it was. He said that was the first time in his college career that he was upright more than he was laying down. And the quarterback they had there this year, Schrader, he's good, but he got hurt. And I don't know what it was that hurt, how he got hurt. I don't know what happened to him. He hurt his shoulder. And the kid they brought in behind him, he wasn't any good either. And he ended up getting hurt. And he played the last game on a hurt leg, knee, something. And he couldn't throw the ball. So they became a one-dimensional team. They could only run the ball. So then they brought the kid in that was the tight end that went to Michigan as a quarterback, transferred to SU and became a tight end. He actually ended up playing quarterback for the last 3 or 4 games. Jack, was that what it was?
You're right. You got it.
And he actually was pretty good. But again, they became a one-dimensional team. They would literally just turn around and hand the ball off, or this kid would run the ball. They didn't throw the ball very much. I think the first game he played, they threw 5 passes the whole game.
5 or 8, I think.
It was like ridiculous. And they ran for like 300 yards, something like that. They won the game, which is weird. But so then the defense just starts stacking the box. And you just start pulling guys in. You 8 guys in the box. Now you can't run against that. And you have to be able to adjust. And Dino's just didn't adjust to it. He just kind of was like, well, we're going to have to keep doing it this way. Okay, you got 9 guys in the box. That means you're playing man-to-man on the outside. You have to be able to throw the ball out there. Even if the kid can't throw the ball, you have to at least be able to show that you can throw the ball. And he wouldn't, and he would just run the ball. It's like, I hate to say it, but I went to CNS. My brother played football at CNS, and he played for a coach. His name was Tom Marzullo, and he literally would the quarterback would turn around and hand the ball off, and then run the ball up the middle every single time. Third and 18, and he'd hand the ball off and run the ball up the middle. 1st and 10, turn around, hand the ball off, let the kid run up the middle. It was literally, you could guess what if they threw the ball 10 times in the game, consider it a good day. And the quarterbacks didn't complete 10 passes, they might have completed 1 or 2, but if the ball left the air, the quarterback's hand in the air, it was a good day. And that comes from when my brother first started playing. They had a kid there, his name was Bobby Campbell. And Bob O'Connor. Man, he could throw the freaking football. He could throw the ball about 60 yards in the air, and they threw the ball all the time. And then the next year, they were a running team, and that's all they did.
So those are good examples of how a coach can make or break a team.
Mm-hmm.
Even with good players, if they're playing bad strategy, if they're telling him to run poor setups, whatever you want to call them, then the players never get an opportunity to show how good they are.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get it. And you know what? I'm not a sports ball fan, but I get it.
I think we've beat football enough, so.
Yes. Especially since we don't really talk football on this podcast.
Thank you for entertaining my questions. I think it was a good conversation. I appreciate that.
So, Paul, you want to talk a little wrestling? I mean, we already talked wrestling already.
We did, but what do you got?
Well,
Where do you want to go with this?
Well, no, I like I said to you the other night, I didn't watch Survivor Series because I don't have Peacock, and I wasn't invited to watch it anywhere.
Yeah, I know. There's no pay-per-view invites that went out that I know of.
So, but I got a text message from my ex, because apparently she watches it. I don't understand that, but whatever. So she said Punk and Orton came back, and I was like, what? So I had to go online and look, and I waited till Monday night to text Paul about that. So I was kind of shocked. I mean, I had watched Monday Night Raw before that when Cody had mentioned Randy coming to Survivor Series, and I had read a few things that he was returning, and it was like, oh, he's returning here and he's returning here and stuff like that. But then when he finally did return, that was pretty cool. I mean, I like Randy Orton. I think he's a pretty decent wrestler, 3rd generation wrestler, stuff like that. So it's good to see. It's good to see him back, especially from what he had come back from.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. But I never thought I'd ever see Punk back there again.
No, like we said, I don't think many people honestly thought it was going to happen.
And Daddy is home.
I love that.
Good.
And I told you while we were texting Monday night. Yeah. Mark my words, that's going to be his new T-shirt.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. I like that. Again, just talking Punk. I mean, do you think McIntyre ran out of the arena because of him, or do you think there was something else?
That has been debunked. McIntyre. Well, I mean the timeline has been debunked. They said that he bounced before Punk even came out, but I mean, they also said that all the main event talent were aware that Punk was coming back at the end. So I mean, he still could have been pissed off and left before it happened anyway.
Right.
But I don't know. It's hard to say in this day and age. What?
Didn't he look like he was crying? He was like this.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. I was wondering if he had gotten hit. Something was going on there or whatever. But yeah, he had his hand over his face when he was running out of there.
Did you see on Monday Night Raw when he gave Seth Rollins that headbutt and immediately started bleeding? He must have hit the belt. You almost never see that on TV. Yeah, usually if someone bleeds, they're off screen doing blading or whatever. But I mean, this was like live right in front of the camera. I was like, holy shit, he actually cut himself. And then I was checking Seth to see if maybe he hit him. He must have hit the belt.
That's what I thought. It was he headbutted the belt by accident and cut his head open.
I said the same thing as after it happened. I was like, "Holy shit, he hit the belt!" Because like you said, it was immediate. It wasn't like
right in the middle of his head.
Yeah, and it wasn't like he actually was like, okay,
yeah,
like he looked. It wasn't like he did it on his own. he was like, I cut myself, and then he just was like, well, fuck it, I'm just gonna go ahead with
Right.
this.
That's what are you gonna do? Yeah. Raw looks like they're lining up a bunch of new angles, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we're getting Shinsuke and Cody.
Well, you got to throw everybody at Cody.
Yes, he's got to go
Before
through
he-
them all. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wondered aloud Monday night if now with the amount of baby faces we have on Raw, are we going to see a big name or two head on over to SmackDown?
Maybe.
Would it make sense to shuttle Cody over so he can finish the story with Roman?
Yeah. It's a possibility.
Or do we pull a collision and do we send Seth to SmackDown just so they can avoid working with Punk?
No.
Yeah.
I think Seth is probably going to drop the belt soon. I
You
mean,
think?
he needs to stop and get surgery at some point.
Yeah.
He's already put enough shine on that new belt that if he dropped it tomorrow, it wouldn't hurt him at all. I think they're going to give him a little bit longer, but I would be surprised if he was still champ after WrestleMania.
I
That's what I was
agree.
just
Especially
gonna say.
they telegraphed his back injury, which we know is legitimate. But I mean, again, nothing comes out unless it's scripted. This is all over the TV because they wanted to let people know they're making it part of the story, and part of that story is at some point it's too much. He has to lose the belt and he has to go have surgery so that he can triumphantly come back.
Right.
So yeah, we know that's going to happen.
My other big question out of Monday night was Orton says he's going after all the bloodline. And
Yes.
he quickly walked that back by the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Because Jay's a good guy now, no longer with the bloodlines, and now they're cool. Do we think that Orton was telling the truth, or do you think he's gonna come out and RKO him at some point?
I mean, that's what he does.
Yeah. Could it be next Monday to spoil the title shot?
Maybe.
Sorry if I ruined Raw for anybody next week.
Now I have to watch to see if that's the actual case.
Yeah.
I got a feeling that he's gonna, Orton's gonna come out and do something, or Drew's gonna come out and do something, or Damian Priest is gonna come out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's
So-
running out of time to cash that in. He's got a few more months.
Does he still have that?
Feels like they have too many big stars now. I mean, they went from kind of not really having anybody but Roman and no one stood out to now they have a ton of people that stand
Mhm.
out, and it's weird now because WWE has become such a star-filled program, and I want to watch every minute of it. Where in AEW, I literally now just skip through the parts until MJF shows up because I have no interest in anything else happening on that show.
Oh, come on. Danhausen just came back. And I was just fortuitous enough to actually tune in last Wednesday to see it. But I don't know if he's actually wrestling any matches
They
yet.
won't
I
do
know he was just
anything with
hanging
him.
out. I
They
know.
won't do anything with him.
They need to. Or they need to let him come over to the E as well. So, of course, I don't know if they would want him with his size.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I will say this though: the Adam Page, Swerve Strickland, Texas Death Match was a thing of fucking beauty. That may be one of the best death match I've ever seen.
Yeah, I didn't
mean,
see it. I heard it was phenomenal.
Without going into like the real crazy shit that they do on the indie circuit, which looks like two people trying to kill each other. That was fucking exceptional, and that was the best match of the show.
Nice. Sorry. Excuse me. All right. Is there anything else we want to touch on? Because I think we hit all the big points from WWE this week.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I think we should probably move it along to trivia time with Jack. After he gets up from nappy time.
What? Yes. All right. What are we doing? All right, trivia. All right. Kev, pick a number between 1 and 4.
1.
Okay, so we haven't done trivia in a while. These are a little delayed, so they're Thanksgiving themed. So, which city had the Thanksgiving Day parade end with Santa Claus getting the key to the city?
New York.
No. Do you want to take another guess?
No.
He's like, no. Does anybody want to take a guess?
There are Thanksgiving parades in other cities.
I was
I didn't
surprised
know.
when I heard this too. I thought it was New York,
Chicago.
not Chicago,
Orlando.
not Orlando.
Tucson, Arizona.
No,
Okay, that's
LA.
enough.
Tell us the
Detroit-
fucking answer, New York.
No, Detroit, Michigan.
Okay.
Nobody cares about
Nobody- I know-
that parade.
I
About
know.
that parade. Nobody cares.
Any of them,
Right,
to be
watched by,
honest.
because they're
I
watching
watched the one in New York. I watch it every year.
the Macy's Day one. Yeah, I know. I had a friend that was actually in the parade.
Yeah.
Um,
we listen to Alice's restaurant. We watch the
Oh,
Macy's
good.
parade.
I'm glad. That's good. Corbs, pick a number 2, 3, or 4.
3.
Which U.S. president refused to declare Thanksgiving a holiday?
Oh, what the fuck? Is he dead? I hope he's dead.
Oh, he's long dead.
Good. Fucker.
He is a fucker.
Grover Cleveland.
Nope, and your hint is he had a lot of children. Not
Thomas
all.
Jefferson.
There you go. I was about to say not all were white. Okay,
Do you
perfect.
think that maybe the Detroit Thanksgiving parade isn't such a big deal because people keep stealing the floats and driving them all over the city?
That's
Well,
funny.
That's good. That's good.
That's
I love
funny
it.
right
Floatjacked.
there.
Oh, I love it. All right,
It's
Hugh,
tough,
go
to
ahead.
watch the Detroit parade when you're ducking for cover.
2 or 4. Hugh.
2. I got my shit back.
All right. So I don't need the exact weight, but just around. According
Okay.
to the Guinness Book of World Records, how much was the heaviest turkey ever recorded?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Around.
42 pounds.
Higher.
52 pounds.
Way higher.
236 pounds.
No, lower than that.
Is
I
it
don't know.
under
What is it?
100?
It is under 100.
97 pounds.
Lower.
65.
Higher.
86.
What?
86 pounds. Corbs,
There you go,
looked that up.
Corbs.
Dressed?
Yeah, he looked it up.
Oh, cheater.
Corbs, is that dressed or
But it
before they
didn't.
That was
gutted it?
before.
Moving along.
Your last one, Paul.
I am.
A Thanksgiving turkey mix-up inspired what popular meal trend?
I know that.
This one I
Stuffing?
did know. What's up?
Stuffing.
No, a meal.
Meal trend. Fucking tacos. I don't know.
No. So those are frozen TV dinners.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't think that wasn't what I was gonna guess.
What were you gonna guess?
The
What?
turducken.
The turducken, yeah. All right.
What?
So in history, in 1877, U.S. inventor Thomas Edison demonstrates the handcrafted phonograph, which he probably stole. He stole all his inventions. In
From
1950,
aliens. From
Exactly.
aliens. Let's just get it straight. Go ahead.
Yeah, in 1952, President Eisenhower visits Korea to help boost morale in the Korean War. And in 1987, Joe Montana, at the time, set the NFL record for 22 consecutive passes in a football game. Anna Faris is 47 years old. Don Cheadle is 59. And
So we
NFL
did.
athlete, what's up?
So he looks every day of it.
He does. And then NFL athlete Stephon Diggs is 30 years old.
Outstanding. All right. Before we throw it to break, let me hit you guys with this weekly topic. I don't think this is a reuse because I did find out that my my Halloween tradition one was a reuse. I went back and saw it, so I apologize, guys. But anyway, this week I want to know what fictional character has had a lasting effect on your life.
Hmm.
And the guys will let us know when we return from the break. Stick with us. Do you guys actually want to break now? I can put the kids to bed and give you a minute to think about that.
Yeah. I
Okay.
gotta go to the bathroom.
Okay. I'm gonna kill it. We'll see you back in a few.
All right, I'll go get into bed. Bye.
Fucking weird. Looking for the hottest new comic on the shelf or a key back issue to complete your run? How about that rare statue or action figure that you've scoured the internet looking for? Come to Collectibles Galore. Located in North Syracuse with ample off-street parking, Collectibles Galore has a huge selection of comics, toys, and rare pop culture items you won't find anywhere else. Comics Galore is always buying comics and toys and will give you the fairest price for your collection. New customers get 15% off their first purchase in store. Collectibles Galore for all of your pop culture needs. Stop in and see for yourself why Collectibles Galore is the king of comics.
Hi, this is Craig Palmer. If you ever aspire to be a wrestler, come on down to Upstate Wrestling Entertainment, located at 1121 Glenwood Avenue in Nottingham, New York. We're open every Tuesday and Thursday from 6:30 p.m. until 9 p.m. Come on down and join us. See you then.
And that sound means it's time for the weekly topic. Let me reiterate. Guys, what fictional character has left a lasting impression on your life? I don't think that's how I said it the first time.
No.
What do you Miss America?
What fictional character has had a lasting effect on your life? Okay, I was pretty close. All right, who wants to go first?
I want to go first.
Okay.
So,
Which character is it?
what?
I
What did you say?
Jabba the Hutt.
said, which Star Wars character is it?
It's not, actually.
No, go ahead.
Believe it or not. But you'll understand when I tell you who it is and why, you'll understand why my favorite current Star Wars character is who it is. So when I was a kid, I read all sorts of comic books. I read all different kinds, Marvel, DC, whatever. I was fed DC comics when I was very young, and that's how I got into comics, was because I had them and I knew what they were. And it's what you do to a kid. You hand him something to keep him occupied. That's why kids get handed phones these days. But mine, the one that I gravitated towards, as I understood, who the different characters were, was Spider-Man. Because he was just a normal kid. He was just somebody. He was nobody is who he was. Wanted to be somebody. And then all of a sudden got this, ability to do more. Found out the hard way that he needed to do more with what he had. Otherwise, the good will suffer and the evil will prevail. But yeah, that had a profound effect on me. It was the reality of the fact that, you didn't have to be born into something to be something.
Nice. I like it. That's way more deep than I think at least some of us are going to go. Myself included. All right. I like that. Way to go. Who wants to go next?
All right, I'll go. We've all, at least one person was probably, Corbs probably could have said this one, but mine's probably a little obvious. You go the underdog story, Rocky Balboa, because when I was a kid, my dad, I was like sick or something like that. He comes home from the video store and he's like, I have 5 VHS tapes with me. I'm like, what are we watching? He's like, all the Rocky movies and all that. I'm like, oh, okay. So Rocky Balboa, the true underdog story, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I don't know. The music's always been good in those movies. He just has never quit. And Burt Young, who played Paulie in the movies, recently died too, which was really sad. My dad and I were talking about that a couple weeks ago. But Rocky Balboa, Sylvester Stallone, he was even an underdog because when the movie was first made, he wrote this movie and he went to all the studios, Sylvester Stallone, and wanted this to be made. He's like, the only thing I want to do is because he saw Muhammad Ali and Chuck Wepner's fight. And that's when he got the idea for the movie Rocky. So he's like, I want to do this movie. All the studios were like, okay, we'll have Paul Newman be Rocky. He's like, no, you don't understand. This is my movie. This is what I want to do with it. And he turned into this $1 billion franchise. And he inspired to do the spinoff of the Creed movies. But all these Rocky movies, like just Rocky Balboa, like it resonates with me because, like, I don't know, his quotes in the movies, the way he fights for Adrian, fights for what he believes in. Yes, it's corny. He's going against the Russian or Mr. T or Clubber Lang, like all Clubber Lang, Mr. T's part, but still Thunderlips, Hulk Hogan. Yes, it's corny, but it's really cool.
I have
What were
a
you gonna say?
question.
What?
How in the hell did he convince anyone to produce his first movie when he only knew maybe like 12 words that he could actually speak out loud that people would understand?
Well,
Hey,
that's
he's
it.
improved over the years. He's up to like 15.
Oh, I
Well,
know, I know.
You got to admit, though, Sylvester Stallone, too, he's got $1 billion franchises. He's not stupid.
Now
Honestly, he knew what he was doing at that.
he
But
was a moke from the street that could barely speak.
the reason he can't speak, too, because like I heard somewhere when he was born, the doctor, when they took him out of the mom's womb and pulled him out so fast, that's why part of his face was all partly paralyzed.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, but Rocky
just
Balboa,
saying,
I think,
when-
is someone
when
that
he
resonates
was-
with me.
So this
What?
weird looking kid comes in off the street with this story. Who the hell's gonna buy that?
It
Well,
was
that's why they kept wanting other people to play Rocky.
Right.
yes, exactly. Paul Newman.
And-
They didn't want Burgess Meredith at first. They wanted other people to play Mickey and all that, but
How the
Sylvester
hell did he
Stallone
do
stayed-
it?
But he just stayed tough, though. It was a $1 million movie in 1976 that won Best Movie, Best Actor, and all that. And it spun this whole
Wow.
franchise, and it's over $1 billion now. But
Wow.
Rocky Balboa, I would say, resonates with me.
Okay.
I love Sly. I love Sly. I think he's great.
No, I know you do. It's just
That-
like, ow.
That definitely came across, Kev.
No. I do. I now never watched a Rocky movie in my entire life.
Oh my
I
god, I
don't
haven't
care.
seen
You
him in
do what
years.
you
but I
want.
do it. Yeah.
I've seen them all probably hundreds of times, and I can quote them all.
Anyway,
You should
Next.
just call on people, Paul.
All
Call
right,
on
Hugh, go.
I mean, this should be pretty obvious. It's Doctor Who. I mean, how could it be anything else? I mean, I may love Batman, I may love Spider-Man, but it all started with Doctor Who. And as an example, the third Doctor, he was my James Bond, even though I did watch James Bond films, unlike some people here. But he was the debonair spy type guy. There was the fourth Doctor, who was the goofball, who got angry sometimes. The fifth Doctor, who was much younger, and I was able to understand a little bit better. And I just go back to, I think it's 1978's Genesis of the Daleks, when the Daleks, you may not realize this, but at one point the Daleks and Doctor Who were actually bigger than the Beatles. In the
Wow.
60s in Britain, there was a point in time where the Dalek mania took off, and they actually put Doctor Who against the Beatles on some variety show, and Doctor Who won the ratings. So I mean, it's the Daleks were huge. So this is his greatest enemy, the most evil things in the galaxy. And Genesis of the Daleks, they end up going back in time to when the Daleks were first created. And the Doctor has an opportunity. All he has to do is cross these two wires, and he will blow up the tanks of the gestating Daleks before they're put into their casings. And he will destroy the universe's most evil beings, wipe them out of existence. And he can't do it. He asks himself, do I have the right to do this? Even knowing what they're going to do. If you found Hitler as a baby, would you kill Hitler as a baby? That actual line has been used in other things in sci-fi and stuff, in the past few years. But that's the first time I heard it, and I thought it was very profound. Statement on morality. is it okay to do something immoral to stop other great injustice? It's a good question. And that formed my moral ideology. And Doctor Who absolutely still to this day has an impact on me.
Nice. Very good answer.
It was the
Corbs.
first Doctor that I saw, by the way, just so we know.
The fourth?
No, the third.
Oh, third. Okay.
Mine is, I mean, it's kind of like, I mean, Jack kind of took with the one I was going to go with, but I'm going to go with, now, understand what I'm going to say, it's based on a movie, so I'm going to go with the Cleveland Indians. I know the Cleveland Indians are an actual baseball team, but I'm talking about the team from Major League. Rick Vaughn, Willie Mays Hayes, Jake Taylor, Serrano, what the fuck's his name? It's Corbin Burnson.
Yeah, I know
Roger
what you
Dorn.
mean. Yeah.
Roger Dorn.
Dorn.
So that to me, I mean, I grew up playing baseball. I always enjoyed playing baseball. I was very good at it. So that movie resonated with me. It was something that I wanted to do with my life. So I got to watch it. I watched it the first summer that it came out. I think I bought the not the DVD. I bought the VHS and I wore it out to the point where I had to buy another one.
That's
That's
awesome.
how much I literally watched it that first summer that it came out, or the first summer that it came out on VHS. And when I had it, I think I watched it every single day.
Yeah, kids, because this is back in the day when it would be like a year plus before you would get a home version of a movie. It's not like it's out of the theaters at the end of June and you have it at home by freaking July 1st. So
Yeah, so I mean, to me, that movie just resonated with me. Playing baseball, just wanting to have a good time while doing it. So that was just my go-to thing. Like I always just, if I was feeling down, needed to pick up, I'd watch the movie because you just laugh throughout the entire thing. And to this day, I still quote that movie. So it's a classic. My mom, she loves it every time it's on. She'll put it on and watch it for a little while. Every time it's on, I watch certain scenes in it. Sometimes I'll turn it on and it's like 10 or 15 minutes in it. And next thing you know, I'm an hour into it. And I'm like, well, I'm an hour and 15 minutes in this movie. There's only 30 minutes left in it.
right.
I'll watch the whole thing.
You got to finish it.
Yep. So that for me, it's them. It's Rick Vaughn, Willie Mays Hayes, Roger Dorn, Lou Brown, Jake Taylor, all these guys. It was fantastic just to watch them and want to be that person. I want to be a combination of those people. When I was playing, I wanted to be the funny guy, but I also wanted to be the veteran that kids looked up to and stuff like that. And I felt that I became that as I got older and as my career progressed into high school and stuff like that. So it was nice.
Okay. When exactly did you wake up in a parking lot and have to run back into the stadium?
That would have been the summer of 91 or 92.
That is my favorite scene in that movie. All right. So mine, because as usual, I have to break my own rules, is more of an archetype. And it's one that started back in 1977 with my good friend Han Solo. It's always the roguish scoundrel kind of guy, the smartass who doesn't really seem to care about anything. And it's gone from there to I'd have to say the last one that resonated with me would have been in 2014 with Star-Lord, Peter Quill. But the luminaries in that would be your Han Solo, your Peter Quill, and of course Randall Graves from Clerks. As if there was any fucking question that would get thrown into this somehow. So it definitely informed my sense of humor, especially Randall. But I'm kind of like and just my outlook on life is kind of the whole like fuck you thing. I'm gonna do it my way. Like I don't care. For better or worse, that's who I am. That's where I can trace it back to is a former carpenter there. Not Jesus. That's for damn sure.
Got real deep there for a minute.
Wow. This is getting a little
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely me.
Take it all the way back.
That was a good
You
one. I didn't
know,
mean for that.
just you saying that, the way you described your archetype, you really need to watch Firefly.
I do, and it's another one that I really
What?
want to. And I own it. I own the complete series, and I've just
You've never seen Firefly?
No, I've seen. I think I've seen parts of Serenity, which of course is doing it backwards because that was after the series, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Malcolm Reynolds.
There was
right?
just a what do you want to call it? Marathon. And Kathy got to see it.
Nice.
And she's like, this is just like The Mandalorian. I'm like, this is where it all comes from.
Nice. And Laura tells me that the one dude, Jensen Ackles' character, because I can't remember the name right now because of concussions from Supernatural,
Dean.
also fits into that. Dean. I can see. I've got to get back into that one too, so I actually remember which one is which. Sam and Dean. At least I remember their first names now. Yeah, I've also been told that fits into the same archetype.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So all right. Since we're talking about fictional characters, let's roll it right into the midstream report. Guys, what are you watching?
I got one.
Cav.
So, and we didn't even know about it. We're just like flipping around looking for stuff. We hit Netflix and there's Squid Game: The Challenge. We do not watch the whole reality stuff. I just do not watch reality. Don't care about it. This thing had us riveted from the very first minute until the last episode that they had released. We just watched it the other day. So they've dropped 3 episodes since we last were in there. 1 through 4, 1 through 5, whatever was out. We watched all those. It was awesome because, you know, we watched the series. We love the series. And we wanted to see how the game, the challenge, actually, how they handled different things. And I'm going to be honest with you. I was really hoping that they went through and killed the people that failed. But they didn't.
Generally, they kind of don't do that in TV shows.
But, you know, all depending upon where they filmed it,
right?
Could have. And with the lawsuits that are coming out, they should have.
All right. Jack, you want to go next? What are you watching?
So haven't watched much, but just the other day, for last Christmas, I put together our old home movies that for my parents because we had them on VHS tape for years and all that. So it was like about 40 of them. So you guys are all the techies better than I am, but I was pretty impressed. I took it's probably easy to do, but for me it was a challenge at first, but I got it because you had to I put them all from VHS tapes to DVDs. So you had to, it was a little difficult because like the words, like when you hit people's mouths move, like it's a little faster, a little slower, but whatever. Long story short, it was kind of cool watching these home movies because we lived in Vegas actually for 2 years when I was like 5 and 6 years old, which was really neat.
That's 2 years. That's
2 years, yeah. 2 years.
6.
Yeah, you can do math. You can count.
That's my cutoff. That right there. That's.
I know. But no, it was cool. Like seeing my parents much younger, my siblings. In all the home movies, you can make this into a drinking game a little bit because my dad, when he's panning out, he's like saying fading, and then like it goes black. So he says that like maybe in every like it's like a skit, and then you go to the next segment, the next thing, and then my brother is always like, can I see in there now? And my dad's like pushing him away to say, go away. We don't want to see you and all that. But you can see my dad trying to hold it together. I'm like a baby because my brother and sister are like 5 and 6. So like I'm just still a little kid. Like I'm like they're trying to pick me up and all that. But like my dad's in one scene. This is totally funny. My grandparents had a dog named Sweetie, a poodle. So he's like, "Oh, Sweetie, hi girl, hi girl." She comes up to my dad. He's like, and like throws up in his hand, and like he's like, "Holy fuck, Aunt, get in here! The dog puked in my hand." My mom's taking the camera, going like this, like, "I got it, honey, I got it." My dad's like, "Put the fucking camera down." "Okay, kids, keep doing your thing." And like my brother and sister are like painting a picture, and like my mom's like, "Oh, that's so good." My dad's like, "It's everywhere right now. It's everywhere." But it's just so funny watching these old home movies because like my dad's trying to keep it together because he just like wants to yell at my brother and sister. Like my sister's like, "Oh," my dad's like, "Oh, Sweetie, you're doing a good job. You're doing great." My dad's like, to my brother's like, cut the shit, go over there." So exactly. Then he sees me, he's like, "Jack, you still over there? Okay, good. We're good.
It sounds like you have a bunch of home movies of your father emotionally abusing your family.
It was fun watching these home movies, and then like my dad refuses to watch them. He's like this. He's
Well,
like, "Let's watch another
I
one."
wonder why.
But no, it's kind of cool because like since then my grandparents have passed on, but we get to watch like
Wow, way to bring it down, Jack.
I know, but like, well, they used to have a cottage in Rochester, and they lived right on the water. It was this little shack, but like I was like, "Oh my god, I remember that little shack and all that stuff." But it was really cool. But then you would see like my grandpa hold the whole movie camera, and then he's like, and then it would just be like my dad all over it. Yeah, it's like all over the place. But some like I didn't watch much, but I watched a couple home movies. I'm like, "Oh my god, this is pretty impressive. These are good."
Yeah, you think your dad would sign off rights to let us release that one of the dog? That's
I wish honestly, because you guys remember the show America's Funniest Home Videos with Bob Saget. I would have definitely sent one of these to that show for sure. When I was a kid.
or Tom
It's still
Bergeron.
going.
It's so good.
I know, but Bob Saget was just the original. He's the OG, man.
Yeah, well, it's still going.
I know.
What's his name there from
Brady.
Cosby? No, it's
I hope not.
How could you want
no,
more?
not Cosby. What the
It's not-
hell's No, Fresh Prince. He was
Oh,
on
you're
Fresh
thinking
Prince.
Alfonso Romero.
Jeffrey,
right?
not
He
Jeffrey.
he
Yeah.
does. He's
Yeah,
the guy.
Alfonso,
He's the
yeah.
host now. He's the
Yeah.
host now.
Carlton.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Alfonso
Carlton,
Romero
yeah.
was his name, or something
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah.
But
And
Thought it was Andrew.
if enough years have passed, then you're good. You don't have to worry about it. Statute of limitations is up.
Outstanding. Hugh, you want to hit it?
What was the question?
Watching.
What are you
Oh yeah,
watching?
what am I watching? I am watching Monarch: Legacy of Monsters. I gotta tell you, I'm not a fan of Apple, but their TV division just knocks out hit after hit after hit, and it's tons of genre stuff from Servant to Silo to Changeling, and now to Monarch: Legacy of Monsters. It's fucking great. And I'll tell you, seeing Kurt Russell and Wyatt Russell play two different versions of the same character, and sometimes
awesome.
they'll zoom in on one and then it'll change to the time of the other. And you can see they look like the same person because they're father and son. It's fantastic. I mean, and you know what? You think, oh, well, they're doing Godzilla on TV. There's not going to be a lot of monster action. Yes, there is more time to unpack the human element, but the monster shit is there, and it's big and it's bold, and I'm just blown away by what they're doing with this series. It's
And is it
incredible.
tying in with like the new movie and everything and all of the
Well, the new
whatever they're
movie
calling
is
it?
Godzilla -1, and that's the Japanese Godzilla. That has nothing to do with the American.
Oh, because the clips I saw, it looked similar to our Godzilla.
yeah, but Japan's Godzilla kind of looks more like our Godzilla now. I mean, they've
It
changed,
makes
but
sense. Yeah.
but that is the let's call it the Toho original
Yes.
one, whereas this is the legendary film series that we've been.
Yes.
we've been
The God, what are they calling it?
the MonsterVerse,
No, that was the failed thing with Tom Cruise, wasn't
Godzilla versus Kongverse. I
it?
don't.
Yes, that one, the Versiverse. We'll go.
Yeah, the Versiverse.
Versiverse.
But yeah, this is great. And if you're not watching it, I mean, I don't know who the fuck has Apple TV. I mean, does anyone here have Apple TV?
No.
Mhm.
Oh,
I
okay. Because I actually don't know anybody who's ever said to me, "Oh, I have Apple TV." So I'm like, how do they keep fucking? I don't know. You know what I think happened? Apple's like, we're in everything else. We're not going to be the #1 streaming platform, but let's put out some really good shit and win some awards. That's my guess. I don't know. But
Nice.
this is good stuff. If you have a way to get Apple TV, does it come with iPhones? I don't know.
You get a
No.
year.
It does now. Like
can get it?
now you
Okay.
can. Yeah, it's one of their things.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it because I mean, just for this show, this is one of those event shows you do not want to miss.
Nice.
I probably shouldn't say this because I didn't watch it through proper channels, but it's not coming out here until next year. Had a chance to catch Orphan Black Echoes. Oddly enough, the sequel to Orphan Black has been released in Australia and isn't being released here until next spring. I don't know why that is.
So what you're
Kevin-
telling us is you flew out to Australia for the premiere? Yeah.
Exactly. Or I might have used a VPN. I don't know. But it's AMC. And you know,
Trying to help you.
you know what? I don't care because here's the thing. Why the fuck are they waiting 5 months to release it here? I don't get that. But anyway, Orphan Black Echoes was good if you're a fan of the original. There are characters, believe it or not, even though it's a different story and it takes place in a much later time, there are legacy characters that are going to show up, not going to ruin anything. It is not the same story. It is a completely different story in a similar vein. And it definitely ends on what looks like I mean, if they stop it now, we didn't get the whole story. There has to be a season 2.
Nice.
I will say,
Coughing.
sorry, I did not connect with the characters as much as I did the original, which is weird because I love Kristen Ritter and I love everything she's in. You know, she's fantastic. So I don't know why I didn't quite connect with the characters enough, maybe because they all weren't being played by the same actress. But I think that I'm coming at it.
Spoiler alert! God, Hugh.
You'll forget by next year.
I think that I came at it because if you remember the original Orphan Black, you were enraptured right from scene 1. This is just a really good show set in that universe. It doesn't quite have that pull, but I think that pull really was due to Tatiana Maslany playing all those characters. That's something you can't recreate. If you pull away that and don't go in with that expectation, it's actually a pretty fantastic show.
Nice.
I'm going to go into it with an open mind. We're definitely going to watch it.
You should, because it's worth it. It's definitely worth watching. I was just like, about halfway through, I'm like, you know what? I really like this, but I don't feel the same way about it as I did Orphan Black.
That's fair.
Cool. All right, Corbs, you want to bring it home? What are you watching?
I am watching Lawman, Bass Reeves. It's another Tyler Sheridan written show on Paramount Plus. It's pretty good. It's about the first Black U.S. Marshal working in the South, which at the time during the Civil War, which was totally unheard of. In the Texas, he's in the Texas area, so he worked Texas, New Mexico area. Basically worked in the Indian territories because he was able to resonate with the Indians. He was a slave.
Was this Blazing Saddles, and you're just getting them confused?
No. We don't need no stinking badges.
The new sheriff is a ding.
Excuse me while I whip this out. So yeah, it's a good show. Bass Reeves is a slave that escapes from his owner after the Civil Wars. His owner was a general in the Civil War. He leaves because they were asked to do something that was inhumane. They were asked to kill a bunch of people, and he decided he didn't want to. So he left, took his ball and went home. His owner did. When they got back to their plantation, he gave him a chance to win his freedom, and his owner cheated. He ended up beating up his owner and knocking him out so that he could get away. So he ended up escaping. Ended up in the Indian territory where nobody could kind of find him. Ended up with a woman there that had a son. The son is killed and he decides to leave, and he heads for another town, the next town over, or whatever. And when he's there, he finds the woman that he was with at the plantation. She has been set free by the plantation owner's wife, so she's living in a big city with their son. Yes.
I remember this. This is the part where I say, didn't they bring up Bass Reeves on 1883? I seem to recall hearing that name. Wasn't he name dropped in that show?
I think so, yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think he was, yeah. So, but it's a decent show. I watched the first 3 episodes. I do believe there's 2 more that have been dropped that I haven't seen yet. So, and then I'm also watching, I think I mentioned this last time, I was watching Billy the Kid on Stars, which is now MGM. So that one I'm still a couple of episodes behind. It hasn't many new episodes. I don't know if that was done because of the writer's strike or not. There was only, I think, only 5 or 6 episodes this year. So I haven't had a chance to watch the last couple episodes of that. So hopefully now that the golf season's over with, I'll get a chance to watch a few more things.
Nice. All right. Well, I've had no time to watch anything other than Survivor Series. So I think that brings us right up to the end of this bastard.
Really? That's good.
It really does.
Well, then drop your nuggets. We can all get out of here.
All right. So I was in Wegmans the other day and grabbed the last 2 loaves of bread. This old woman behind me saw there was none left, and she was pretty bummed out. She looked weak and feeble, so I went over to her cart and took her milk and eggs. Sorry, Mildred, but this is survival of the fittest. Good night, everybody, and mega bite me, bitches.
This has been a GeekPod Network production.
You
Dude,
son of a bitch.
what a fucking dick.
Seriously.
All right, ready
You
for
would
titles?
beat up an old lady.
The sad
Fucking
part
right,
is
I
you
would.
would probably do that.
Oh, I didn't write any titles down. Did you?
I got them for you. I wrote them.
All right, I got 2, I guess.
Everybody's got 2.
4.
All right.
Order.
4.
Order.
Kev, me, Hugh, Corbs, Jack.
Got it.
All right.
Ready?
No, I gotta get my titles.
No.
Yeah, everybody else would like their titles. Hugh, Jiggery Porkery, or Jiggery Pokery, and Floatjacking.
Can you just please say porkery?
Porkery. Corbs,
Yeah.
roads are safe.
For now.
And Kicker you. Jack,
Kickery you.
I'm going bald. And Edison, the thief.
Come on, is there no one taking it up the ass?
No, because we can't use that. We're not AEW here.
Oh god.
My buddy Dave texted me, and it's not a spoiler for the show, but apparently Edge dropped a fucking F-bomb and it went uncensored on the show tonight. Yeah.
I'm frozen again.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
you are. Perfect.
I'm not starting my shit up again, so you're gonna have to deal with this.
Just do it frozen. I'm okay with it. All right, we
Do
ready?
it quick because my shit's gonna end soon.
All right, ready? Here we go.